We'd like to thank everybody that is in our waiting for us to join our webinar today. We will begin in just a few minutes. Hello, and welcome to the first annual Paws for Purple Hearts Virtual Gala, Paws for a Cause. My name is Carrie Blum, and I'll be your MC for today's event. But before we get started, I want to provide a few logistics for today's event. We thank you for joining us, and although you will not be seen or heard during the event, you'll have the opportunity to ask questions through the Q&A box on your screen. Please submit your questions throughout the Q&A box, and they will be answered by our PPH trainers at the end of the event. Just by registering and participating in today's gala, you have automatically been entered into our gift basket opportunity drawing. Throughout the event, we'll be drawing a lucky name to receive one of these beautiful baskets. You may be online with us, you must be online with us, and when your name is drawn in order to win a basket. If your name is drawn and you are not present, even though we're on Zoom, a new name must be drawn. So stay with us throughout the event today. These are some of our wonderful opportunity baskets. Everything from dog items to special gift cards to a warm and fuzzy basket of comfort items for yourself. Again, you must be present to win. So stay tuned with us throughout the day today. Thank you, Randy, for sharing those with us. We're not drawing them yet. This event is being recorded and will be available for later viewing if you'd like to watch at another time. So thank you for joining us today on Giving Tuesday. It's a global day of giving fueled by the power of social media and collaboration. We ask that you join the movement and give, whether it's in some of your time, a donation, a gift, or the power of your voice in the community. As the Southwest Regional Director for Paws for Purple Hearts based in San Diego, California, I'm truly excited to share with you today some of the life-changing work that Paws for Purple Hearts does to support our nation's injured military service members and veterans. Today, we have the honor of sharing some fun videos of our canines, instructor demonstrations, and wonderful words from our keynote speaker. Thank you for joining us today at our first annual PPH Gala, Paws for a Cause. From puppy to placement, a single Paws for Purple Hearts dog connects the countless warriors, volunteers, donors, and staff members who provide support for a service dog in training. Every person that is touched by a Paws for Purple Hearts dog will forever be connected by one leash. Meet Chapman. He is our one-year-old black lab. He was first at our Menlo Park site and provided therapy at 6 weeks old. He helped our veterans at the Palo Alto VA healthcare system. He then traveled to San Antonio, where he continues to train and impact everyone he meets. Please meet Chapman. By caring for and assisting in training Paws for Purple Hearts dogs, warriors receive life-changing intervention that helps mend both their visible and invisible war wounds. Your donation will enable every service dog in training to impact dozens of warriors on their path to their final connection, placement as an assistance dog. Please visit our website, pawsforph.org/donate to give the gift of hope today. Again, that's www.paws4ph.org/donate and give the gift of hope today. It is now our first opportunity basket drawing time. So for everybody that is present.
Hi, everybody. Carrie, can you show the first basket? And then I will pick I got some names in here. And just remember that you must be present to win. So the first name is Mindy H.
That is excellent. Mindy just jumped into our Q&A box saying, woohoo, that's me. So thank you so much, Mindy. Congratulations. You are the new winner of this wonderful, wonderful gift basket and gift card out back Steakhouse. Thank you so much. Next, I'd like to welcome our keynote speaker, Pasha. Pasha is a medically retired 17-year Army veteran. He's lost more friends to suicide than combat, and he himself struggles with chronic PTSD and TBI. As an experienced and esteemed public speaker, he aims to raise the awareness about the life with PTSD, sharing what works for him and hoping that it will help others. It's my pleasure to introduce Pasha.
Hey everyone. Well, first of all, it's a pleasure to be here, and what I hope to do here today is to show all of you, the donors and the staff members of Paws for Purple Hearts, is the impact that you're making on veterans and active duty service members within our community. I'm gonna share a little bit of my story, some of the things that I went through, kind of how I got myself in trouble, hitting the rock bottom, and then finding my way out of there. And that's where organizations such as yours, that's where you all come in. So if I get a little bit emotional, there's nothing to forgive, but just bear with me. Like you just heard, I'm a medically retired Army Master Sergeant. I was wounded for the first time in 2005 and second time in 2015. And after that 2015 deployment, that was my last one. I couldn't deploy anymore after that. I got a staff job working as an air operations guy for my battalion, and then I ended up hurting myself on a parachute jump, which was self-inflicted. I made a mistake, so I paid the consequence. And then after that, I lost my jump status, and at that point, there was nothing else for me to do in the military that I could handle. And by that point, also the impacts of the multiple traumatic brain injuries, as far as more than a decade and a half of neglected mental health, everything caught up with me, and I ended up hitting rock bottom and was forced to medically retire. So, like, how did I get to that point? I'm gonna share with you my road there, in hopes that it will help you understand the impact of what you're doing and how that fits into recovery of veterans and active duty service members like myself. So my first deployment was in 2004, 2005 to Iraq. I was there as part of a counter IED effort, which involved me getting out and spending a lot of time around IEDs, improvised explosive devices. That meant we found a lot of IEDs before they detonated, but we also showed up to some horrific scenes after an IED has struck a convoy or a huge truck bomb blew up at a crowded market with hundreds of people dead. And while you're going through that kind of a deployment, the first few weeks, they're rough, because it's just, especially as a young soldier, they're rough because you're seeing things that, at least in today's world, we're not used to seeing and we're not used to experiencing. But after a few weeks, maybe a few months, we start, you kind of start getting used to it, and it becomes the norms. The sights, the sounds, the smells, everything, it just becomes part of everyday life. And we drive on, we move on with the mission. When it's time to go home, we get home. We get our post-deployment checkups, to which, unless there's a visible physical injury, like, we deal with it. But on the emotional side, on the invisible injuries, most of us and there are many reasons for that. It could be lack of awareness. It could be plain denial. It could be not wanting to deal with the paperwork, or just wanting to get away and get back to be with your family. We just say that everything is fine, and most of the time things are fine for a while. But all of those experiences and all of that trauma stays. It's in us, and it's a part of us, and it's a part of who we are. When you're young and you don't have a lot of responsibilities, like most, like majority of the soldiers who are on the ground and fighting, it's that past experience, it kind of stays buried deep without having any kind of impact on our day-to-day life. But in my situation, as my life progressed, as I got married and started to have kids, and I kept getting promoted, my responsibilities grew. At work, my responsibilities at home grew, and then the stress, like all of us deal with stress. It's just part of being human. But it's when I started to get started to feel a little bit of pressure by life, that's when all of that unprocessed trauma started to things started to bubble up to the surface. One of the things that has had a pretty big impact on my life, and it's been like just struggling with just 0 to 100 bursts of anger. Anger is very important for our survival. Definitely in the combat zone. Not so much here, luckily, but in the combat zone it is. And for me, there was one specific moment where it saved my life. I was a gunner in my truck, which meant I sat on top. I was in charge of providing security for my vehicle. We were in a 4-vehicle convoy. I was in the 3rd vehicle. We were heading back from a mission when all of a sudden I found like we were under attack by a suicide bomber. Suicide bomber was driving a vehicle, and he was pushing his vehicle into mine. And if this is me and this is him, he got to about maybe 2 feet like this, close to me. He was so close that I couldn't use my crew-served weapon. So I had to pick up my M4 and lean over the protective plates that were all around me in order to engage him. And in that moment, well, right before that happened, I just remember like my brain was like, that's a horrible idea. But then I felt this, something opened up inside of me, this anger unlike anything I've ever felt before. And that anger is what pushed me to take action. So I leaned over, I engaged him. I was able to slow him down just enough to where we passed. And then his vehicle ended up being detonated about 10 feet behind us. And I mean, our eyes were locked for most of that sequence. And it was not him that detonated. There's an Al-Qaeda propaganda video of the whole incident. And I'm pretty sure it's the people who filmed it. They also had a remote switch to the VBID. So in the end, I mean, besides my shaky legs afterwards, everybody survived on our side. But it's anger is what kept me alive, kept my teammates in the Humvee alive. It saved my life, and it saved the day. Unfortunately, now when I find myself in a stressful situation or any kind of confrontational situation, that door that opened up inside of me, it never closed. And I've been working for years, like through therapy, through different treatments, trying to find a way to slow down that flash to bang, that stimulation when something happens, something triggers me to my reaction. And that has had a pretty big impact on my life. The place where it impacted me the most was as a father. I'm fortunate enough to have 4 boys, 4 boys, 11 down to 3. But with 4 boys comes a lot of stimulation, a lot of light, noise, movement, all of the stuff that 4 boys generate. Sometimes it feels like I have 6 kids. So that kind of stuff triggers me. It triggers me to where, like, if one of them breaks something, or we're eating dinner and they start horsing around and they spill something off on the table, it would cause me to overreact. And I would start yelling and basically do a lot of things that I would regret. So from that incident, like, after I settle down, like, I've ruined dinner, my kids are terrified of me, my wife is upset and doesn't know what to do, how to handle this. I feel guilty. I know that I messed up. So I end up isolating myself. I go and I sit by myself in the office and just numb my pain away. And then the next morning, and then then the next day things would be okay. I would apologize, but then the cycle would continue. And the longer this went on, the easier it became for me to blow up. The easier it became for me to isolate. The easier it became for me to rely on numbing mechanisms to escape my reality. So eventually it turned into this spiral. It started very slowly, so I didn't notice it. And that's what happens to most of us. But before you know it, a few years go by. And in those few years, a bunch of bad habits are built by me. My sleep, my eating habits, all of that is kind of out the window. I'm constantly running on fumes. My relationship with my wife and kids is strained. And for most of us, that means the family leaves and the veteran stays on their own. So and then eventually you get to a point to where you start to feel like a burden to your family, a burden to society, and you just feel like maybe everyone is better off without you. Because when I was there, I truly did not feel like there was any hope of things getting better. That this is what it was, and that's how things will continue to be. So what's the point? Like, what's the point of having this negative impact on everybody that you love around you? So it just becomes a hopeless situation, combined with this burden, this suffocating burden that a lot of us carry. And then eventually my brain started to go numb to where I just did not care. I did not care about anything. I did not care about consequences. I kind of stopped caring about the family, everything. And that is a very dangerous place to be. That's where, from my perspective, that's where I feel like a lot of suicides happen. So, but obviously I'm here, so I didn't take that route. Instead, I did something that's probably one of the most difficult things I've ever had to do. I checked myself into ER on Walter Reed, where I spent some time in psychiatric ward, where things settled. And then once things settled and I started to see clearly, I decided to do what I can to make my life better. Just one day at a time. Just a little step. Like, I decided to focus on improving one little thing, just one day. That's all I could ask for. Suicide and all of that, that's always there and it's always on the table. So I thought, like, that I can always do that tomorrow. So sometimes it's good to put things off until tomorrow. But it's when I started my healing process, that's when I started to learn about the different nonprofits that exist in our space and are there to help us and serve us. It's during that healing process where I spent a lot of time with Walter Reed, where I had been in a lot of canines, and I felt the benefit, the companionship. The dogs, they're always present. They're here and they're in the moment. And no matter what you do, it's like as soon as you put your hand on the dog, it's just like that. It's an instant stress reliever. It's an instant like weight off my shoulders. So dogs, they create that little bit of space that many guys like me need, from that stimulation to a response. And so these are just regular dogs, but when you add a service animal like the dogs from Paws for Purple Hearts, dogs that are trained to detect, that realize that there's a rise in me and that something is happening, and the dog realizes before I do, those animals, they're lifesavers, they're family savers. I've had so many conversations with guys that they changed their, like the dogs changed their life. It's saved. I mean, it's just when you have something like it's kind of hard to call these dogs as something, like someone like that in your life that can come in there and basically pull you out of that terrible moment where you're about to go and do something that you will regret. It saves all of that trickle down effect of isolation and numbing and guilt and all of that. That's what these service animals do. I don't know how much time I have left, but this is the one, like the core of my message that I wanted all of you to understand, like all of you who are working for Paws for Hearts, and all of you who are here and are looking to support either with your time or money. This is the kind of impact that you all are making. Does anybody have any questions that I can answer?
Give everybody a quick moment in regards to
Yeah.
answering some questions. Actually, Pasha will let them type them into our Q&A box. And if
Okay.
you would be available for us at the culmination of this for any questions, or as they come up, we can ask those. And want to really thank you so much for sharing your story and the impact that it has, not only on all of us here at Paws for Purple Hearts, but all of those that are watching, as well as everybody that is out there. Your story has so many meanings to all of us across the board, from just parenting alone is hard enough, let alone parenting with any traumatic injury, and being able to explain that and how the benefits of the dogs that come through and give you that time and that space in between to evaluate your emotions and go through is very, very valuable. And the way that you have been able to share that personal side to it has definitely impacted many of us. Thank you again for your time.
Awesome. I'm happy that I could be here and contribute to a little portion to what you all do. I'm here.
So
I'm
we're
gonna
getting
stand
left
by.
and right, tons
Yeah.
of comments coming in as far as thank you so much. It's a pleasure to have had your story sharing with us. Thank you so much for your sharing. Again, you have made a huge impact on so many. So thank you.
All right. It's an honor. It truly is. Thank you.
It
Yeah.
is my pleasure to now introduce Dr. Bonnie Bergen. She is the founder and the president of Paws for Purple Hearts. She created the concept of service dogs in 1975 as she founded the world's first mobility service dog organization. Since then, devoted her life to teaching and training dogs for individuals with disabilities. She also founded the Bergin University of Canine Studies, the very first and only program of its kind that focuses on teaching individuals how to train dogs. In 2006, she started a research program with the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs, Palo Alto, healthcare systems at Menlo Park, California, and the team it led to the creation of Paws for Purple Hearts. Let's hear how Bonnie started her first service dog team and how the first service dog commands were ever created. Our dogs start training at just 4 weeks old, and they train for 2 to 3 years. By the time they graduate, they know more than 100 commands. It's my honor to present Bonnie Bergen and her video. Thank you so much, Bonnie. Amazing the things that you have been able to do in training the dogs and making life much more enjoyable and much more simple for those with challenges. This year, we're celebrating 10 years of Paws for Purple Hearts. Thank you so much for joining us for these past 10 years. And hopefully we'll be celebrating another 10 to come. In 2006, we were founded as a pilot research program at Bergin University of Canine Studies, the first and only college in the world that focuses on training and learning about dogs. And in 2011, we started the very first canine-assisted warrior therapy program at the Palo Alto VA healthcare system in Menlo Park. Since then, we've expanded to 5 sites across the US: Menlo Park, San Diego, Virginia, Alaska, and Texas. With our headquarters in Pen Grove, California, we have deployed over 128 canines in assisted warrior therapy programs. Thank you so much for helping us through our 10-year anniversary. It is now time for our second opportunity basket drawing.
All right, here we go. For this basket, it is Donna B.
Fabulous. Thank you. Hope you are here with us. Our dog, or just one dog, can have a big impact. Our program is unique because even if the dog is released from our program, throughout their training, they will have helped over 40 to 60 warriors with canine-assisted warrior therapy programs. Let's take a look at the day in the life of a Paws for Purple Hearts dog. Thank you. It is now time for our question and answer portion with our program instructors. So how does this work? You'll be able to type your question into the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. Our trainers will then be live on the screen to answer your questions. To start with, one of our first trainers is Erica. She's a senior program instructor at our San Antonio site. She has spent the past 12 years getting to know dogs better through the years of rescue dog work and fostering, training medical alert and service dogs, and assisting the public with behavior modification through consulting and private training. She joined Paws for Purple Hearts San Antonio in June of 2019, and their splits her time between training service dogs and assisting with facilitating the unique to this organization's canine-assisted warrior therapy program. I'd also like to introduce Jenny. Jenny is a program instructor and our client liaison based in San Antonio, Texas. She has been a staff member since August of 2019 after graduating from Bergin University of Canine Studies with her Associate of Science degree in Assistant Dog Education and her Bachelor of Science in Psychology. It is my pleasure to introduce Erica and Jenny, who will be answering any of your questions today.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to my office.
How's everybody doing?
And we have Kozlowski joining us today with Jenny, one of our new puppies that has joined our program.
He's tired. I just woke him up from his nap.
Mommy, I'm tired, take a nap.
Yeah.
We all have been dying to ask a trainer questions about service dogs or service dog training or anything like that. Please feel free to type it up in the Q&A, and I believe we can answer it for you.
I see that we actually had one come in, Erica.
Oh, I think I do.
2 of them. Wow.
I see 2 come in. I'm going to start with Mindy's first. Mindy, I hope you don't mind. You're going to be the first one. It says, do you continue to add commands as needs come up, or do you have a set number of commands that seem to cover the needs of the warriors? Wow, fantastic question, Mindy. You know, we have a set amount of commands that we teach that cover, you know, a lot of the things that you just watched in the demo video, which was fantastic, by the way, loved it. But typically those commands that we teach do cover pretty much whatever that person is going to need that we place the service dog with. Occasionally there's some other things that we might need to kind of spruce up just a little bit, but generally the commands that we already are on our radar to train, you know, all of those cover the needs of the individual that is receiving the dog. Ooh, I almost dropped my pen. Maybe I shouldn't be holding a pen while I'm answering these questions. Oh, I see another question. I'm gonna go back to one of the first ones. I'll let you answer this one, Jenny. What is your favorite command to train?
Ooh, favorite command to train. I think I like touch the most. It's a directional or repositioning command for the dogs, just because the dogs find it so fun to do, and it's really, really easy and simple. And it's easy, and they love it, and they get so excited when we ask them to touch. So, and it's kind of a gateway to teaching other commands too that are a little bit more difficult. So I think touch is my favorite.
I really
How about
like
you?
touch too. It's
What's
so
your-
simple, but
Yeah.
it's one of the first ones that I usually start with. And then most of the time I probably spend too much time on it because my dogs become obsessed with touch. And when you let your hand to say touch, Jenny Cause was like, yeah, I'll go for it. No problem. All right.
What's your favorite command to teach, Erica?
I like touch. Oh man, there's so many good ones. I really like go through. And I believe that was one that was in the demo video. Go through. It is another simple one, but it's so handy. Like when you've got your hands full and you're walking through the door, you know, and I'm walking a couple dogs at a time. If I'm coming in first thing in the morning to work, it's just so easy to ask them to go through the doorway and to go in front of me so that I know where they are. And then I can walk through the doorway and then they can just fall in line next to me. It's so easy. But mainly we do teach go through for elevator safety to make sure that the person has cleared the dog getting into the elevator, to make sure that their, you know, leash doesn't get caught or they don't get caught on one side. So then the dog is safely in the elevator and then the person can go through. I use it just for regular doorways because it's very handy and useful, but that's probably one of my favorite ones. Oh gosh, he's so cute. He is adorable.
He is. All right.
Another one.
Yeah, we got another question.
This adorable puppy. Thank you. Of course. It says, how old are they when they start training? Oh, another really good question, y'all. I mean, I guess that depends. Typically, they'll start training, you know, when they're just a couple days old. You know, we actually start them really young and making sure that we're building their neural pathways and creating positive experiences with all sorts of commands. We at the individual sites typically won't get the puppies until they're a little bit older, you know, somewhere around 12 to 16 weeks. And then we'll start training with them with their individual trainers there. But at our headquarters, we do have the dogs, they're born and raised there, and they'll get some early on training there as well. You're never too young or too old to learn. This is the thing in life that I'm learning.
Oh, we start them young, huh, Cause?
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh man, he's so cute. Ooh, what is your favorite part about being a program instructor? I mean,
there's a lot.
Is it too unoriginal just to say the dogs?
I mean, no, you can answer however honestly you feel. I feel like my favorite part is honestly like working with all of the warriors and all the participants and just seeing them at different stages throughout their therapy. Oh my gosh, my dog under the desk just hit it and it made it shake. I apologize. But just seeing them progress throughout their time with us and coming to interact with the dogs and building relationships with the dogs, it's just so cool to see the progress that everybody makes and how it just completely changes their attitude that day. A lot of them leave saying, you know, thank you so much. This was great. Like it just changed, you know, the entire outlook of my day. And that's what PPH is all about. We want to help as many veterans as we can. So I think that's my favorite part, honestly, is just seeing how much of an impact canine assisted warrior therapy does.
Yeah, that is another good part. It's really cute. We have one particular group where they will come in and we'll typically ask them, you know, who do they want to work with that day? And it tends to go in order of who arrives on time because we like to reward good behavior here. And so everyone now tries to get here before everybody else so that they get to pick who they would like to work with. But it's really cute when everybody gets to say what, you know, what dog they want to work with that day. It's really cute to see. All right, I see another couple questions coming in. It says, how do you apply for a service dog? And what happens when you get selected? Oh, I don't think anybody's ever asked me what happens when you get selected. Good, I mean, good thought process, good question. So you can actually go to our website and there is, I hope I'm saying this right, I think I am. There is a tab that you can select And you can fill out a little form to ask for more information. And then from there, you'll be contacted by, I'm saying this right, Jenny?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Keep
I was
going.
like,
I'll interrupt you if you're not.
validate me through the video because I think I'm doing this right. And then you'll be contacted by our national client manager, and then she will help you along with the process from that point. All of that good stuff. And she's fantastic, by the way. And she's very good at her job. So don't worry. She will definitely make sure that she'll answer any questions and to help you along with the process.
Ooh, this one says, what made you want to be a trainer?
Oh, wow. I haven't been asked that in a long time. You want to go first or you want me to go first?
I can go first.
Okay, cool.
So what made me want to be a trainer? I specifically, well, I went to Bergin University, which is our sister organization. And my grandfather was in the military, and so was my dad. And so I've had a connection to the military and wanting to help people for a while. And this just seemed like the best way to give back. I absolutely love dogs and what they can provide for us. So I wanted to be a trainer so that I could help our military members to be simple. That's why my reason is.
I was like, man, your answer is so much better than mine. I was a trainer for several years before I attended Bergin University of Canine Studies, actually. So I guess I'll go back to more of the beginning of the heart of the question. What made me want to be a trainer? I was actually, gosh, I think I was in my first or second year of college to be, I was an English major, and I was working towards a creative writing degree. And I really wasn't being very successful with that. Like, I liked it, but I wasn't being very successful. And so I went back home with my tail between my legs and sat around for a while trying to figure out what I wanted to do because nothing else was really clicking. And then for some reason I figured out, oh, maybe I could train dogs. Maybe I could do that. Like that could be a living for me. Sure. Yeah, I could do that. And then it just kind of started it from there. So it's kind of evolved for me. I've done a lot of different stuff, I've done rescue dogs. And then from there I thought, well, I never felt like I'd learned enough. I always wanted to learn more. And that's what led me to Bergin, University of Canine Studies, where I got my degree in cynology and learned how to be a service dog trainer, because that was something I knew nothing about. I knew a lot about a lot of other stuff coming with dog training, but I didn't know anything about service dogs. And I really wanted to learn a different aspect. And so I did that. And that eventually led me here. So I just took the long scenic route to getting here.
Oh, I did too. I didn't go into that, but I did too.
But I just kind of tried out a bunch of different stuff. And then when I started dog training, it felt right and I liked it. So I kept going.
Yeah, I joked with my dad. I was like, I should probably technically be a doctor by all the time, by the time that I've graduated, because I've had so much college under my belt.
Bad thing.
No,
Education, it's a good thing.
we're educated.
All right. Let's see. How many years, I think I'm reading this right, does a dog have to be in training to be a service dog? Oh, good question. Probably every program and organization might be slightly different, but specifically with Paws for Purple Hearts, it takes around 2 to 3 years from start to finish for them to be trained as a service dog. It takes a long time for them to learn, be comfortable, and to perform with ease over the 100 commands that we teach these dogs. It also takes a little bit of time for them to mature as well. Just because they know the commands and can do them at 10 months old, maybe doesn't mean that they should be placed right at that point, because they still need some maturing time and to grow up a little bit and that type of thing. But I know everybody is always surprised when I answer that question, because they're like 2 to 3 years. My goodness. I'm like, that's just kind of how long it takes. But they get a really well-rounded education throughout that time frame.
Yeah, and I mean, we have to socialize them to the world, every different little thing, every sound, when we see, oh, your face is going in and out. When we see a giant plane, because we're really close to Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio, at the San Antonio location, when we see those giant planes in the sky, I get mesmerized every time I see them, because I think they're incredible. And so I'm sure that they are like, what is that? So just so many different things that we have to socialize the dogs to. So it definitely takes a really long time, but then they little babies at the end.
They all have their own personalities and do really well. I actually am training Kimberly, Kozlowski's sister, but she's a little bit more spicy and has a little bit more hot sauce in her personality than Kozlowski. So she's like, yeah, I don't want to sit in your lap today. That's not going to work for me. But I'm so glad that Mr. Kozlowski is ready to be here.
He's just sitting here.
He's such a good boy. I mean, don't get me wrong. She's a good girl too. She's just a little more spicy. She excels at running and retrieving things, and that's what she excels at this point in her little life. All right.
I'm going to jump in really quick, and I'm going to cheat because I'm the host. And I'm going to ask a question about the commands that you all teach the dogs for PTSD and things like that. Can you talk a little bit about those commands and how they impact their warrior?
Yeah, definitely. So when I said earlier how touch was my favorite command, excuse you, he's licking the crumbs off my desk, how touch was my favorite command to teach and how it's kind of a gateway into other commands that are more difficult to teach. One of the PTSD commands that we teach is nudge. And it's just to have the dog come over and nudge a person's leg, typically to interrupt an anxious behavior. Like a lot of times an anxious behavior looks like a bouncing leg. So it's just an interrupter tool basically for the dog to come over and nudge the person to let them know, hey, it's okay, I'm here, I got you. Focus on me, I'm here for you. So that's one of our PTSD commands. Another one is lap, that was in that demonstration video with Keith and Sherry. That just helps provide deep pressure therapy. He's kind of doing that right now, except he's cheating because he's a puppy on my lap. But typically it looks like the dog their legs are kind of draped over your lap. Do you want down? Are you done? There you go, buddy. And they're just providing not therapy. They're providing pressure on your legs, which is just comforting, and it just feels good. What are some other ones that you like, Erica?
Well, another one that I will actually use myself is lay on, just another form of that deep pressure therapy where we teach the dogs to lay across either, the entire body if you're laying down in bed or on the couch. And it can also, you can utilize it, in stores or that type of thing, where if you sit down on the floor, they can lay across your lap. It's just a grounding technique to provide that deep pressure therapy. That's another favorite amongst our warriors as well. Especially when the dogs are maybe not the best at it and they're still learning to settle, and they're sometimes still a little squirmy and they get excited about being in their lap. Like the smiles that the warriors get on their face when they're like helping the dog learn through, that scenario, they really seem to enjoy that. But I enjoy lay on as well. I actually took one of my dogs out a couple weeks ago, and I went to a bookstore. And I was feeling a little anxious and I don't really know why. And so I'm like, okay, buddy, we're just going to do some lay on in the aisleway. And I just sat down on the floor, tried not to think about how dirty the floor was because I needed a grounding moment, but I sat down on the floor and I had him do a lay on, and it was really wonderful because he was all for taking a nap if he wanted to. But that's something that anybody can use, but it's another really popular one amongst our warriors, both in our canine assisted warrior therapy sessions, as well as with our place to service dogs as well. Jenny already went over nudge. That's another really big one as well. Just interrupting those behaviors, and either to ground them or to just bring them back to, out of a panic moment or a panic attack or those types of things. And the dogs are really good at it too. Like, they're good at it and they will not let you get away with it. They were like, we will nudge you until you acknowledge us.
Yeah.
This is what we do. But those are just a couple of the many commands that they learn. But those specifically do help address PTSD symptoms with our warriors. Great. Okay. I see there is a question up here. It says advice on best treats or toys for dogs. Oh man. I don't know if you want me to answer that because I'll just be on here for forever. Make sure they're safe.
Yes, make sure they're safe and make sure they're the right size for, if it's a toy, make sure it's the right size for the dog that you have. If you think
The
it's
rule
too
of
small,
thumb
okay,
is
yeah,
if
go
it can
ahead.
fit completely in the dog's mouth, it's too small.
Yeah. So if you think it's too small, it's definitely too small. Also, dogs don't see the world the same way that we do. Their vision is different, and so they only see a certain ray of or spectrum of light. So they can see blue and yellow the best. So those two colors I recommend to people for getting, for your dogs for toys, just because they can see them the best. So
They're more visually pleasing to the
yeah,
dog's eye.
to the dog. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, as far as treats go, I mean, I'm a big fan of what works best for your dog and what motivates your dog. We use a lot of Cheerios here, surprisingly, because they last for a long time. They don't dry out. They keep their nice flavor. They're low calorie. And honestly, they're just easy to have around. So I'm constantly digging Cheerios out of my like bag and my purse and stuff. The dogs love them. They're small. Cheerios are great.
When they go stale, the dogs still like them. So it's really great. And they're
It's a
cheap.
great snack for you as well as your dog. You can eat all of them, but those are something that we really, really use.
Oh, I love those silent squeaker toys because the dogs can hear them, but the people cannot. And it is absolute genius invention. I wish I would have thought of it because those are a lifesaver.
Yes. I have to put the squeaky toys away because sometimes I'm like, okay, that's hitting my amygdala and now we need to move past this point.
Yeah.
But I know I'm trying to think if there's anything else. And another just, general safety tip. I dropped my phone and someone handed it to me. Thank you. Another great safety thing is for toys, just make sure that it's an appropriate toy for the activity. If you are there supervising your dog and you're playing with them by throwing the toy and then bringing it back, then a squeaky or stuffy toy, that could be appropriate for that time. But a squeaky or a stuffy might not be appropriate for quiet time by themselves because they might chew it up and swallow unsafe pieces or that type of thing. So just kind of keeping in mind what toy is best for what activity. But there's so many great ones.
Oh, and then I just thought of another one too. Tennis balls, like the actual tennis balls that you play tennis with versus like the chuck it balls. There's a difference in like the material, and the ones that are the actual tennis balls, those are really hard on the dog's teeth. And they actually dull them, to make them, not sharp anymore, which dogs need their teeth to be sharp. So we recommend definitely using rubber balls like the chuck it ones.
Yeah. They're more hardy too, the dogs, because literally the first thing my dog does is he just shears the tennis ball in half way back when. So I'm like, yeah, I think I'm good. We'll do rubber balls. But all right, I'm going to move on to the next question. It says, that was such a great story about Chapman. Oh, he seems like an amazing dog. He really is. He is the sweetest boy. I really enjoyed watching him grow up from a little puppy. And he literally nicest dog ever, the greatest temperament, and he is so sweet.
And Erica, I think Jessica is going to take this next question.
Perfect.
Absolutely. So the next question, or this last question, is I have a friend who is a veteran. How can they get involved in your program? And there really are several different ways that you can get involved. You can get involved in canine assisted warrior therapy. You can get involved, you can apply to be placed with a service dog. You can also volunteer with the dogs. It's always a good thing. It's always therapy to come in and work with the dogs. You do things like grooming and, play groups and things like that. So it's always positive interaction when you come in. So you can volunteer, you can donate. I mean, we love our volunteers, we love our donors, we love our participants. And they're just, as a volunteer, there are so many ways that you can come in and get to know the staff and get to know the dogs a little bit better. You can be a puppy parent, which means you actually get to kind of like foster one of our dogs. It's like a weekend vacay for them. So they get to go home with you and just be a dog and hang out within reason. You know, there are some rules. They are service dogs in training. So, you know, the hope is that they will eventually get paired with a warrior that needs them. So there are things that are important rules to follow. But other than that, they get to just hang out with you and be a dog. And you get to benefit from their company, and they get to benefit from a new home environment. So there is really so much so much that you can do to get involved. And those are just some of the ways. You can log on to our website, and you can choose the option for more information, and you can either sign up for to be a volunteer. You can get started in canine assisted warrior therapy, or you could get on our waiting list for a specialist therapy dog or a facility dog, or even a service dog. So those are just some of the ways that everyone can get involved.
Thank you so much, Jessica. I really appreciate you answering that for us. Do we have any more questions, or did we answer them all?
I think we answered them all because, you know, we're just so fantastic at doing it.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much. You guys have done a fabulous job in answering all the questions from all different angles and all different aspects. So we greatly appreciate your information, your insight, and of course, all of your great knowledge in training our dogs and everything that you do know about them. So thank you.
Yes,
Thank
thank you
you.
so much.
We greatly appreciate it. And for our final this afternoon, we have our final gift basket. I think Megan will be.
All right, our last and final winner is Sandy L. So Sandy, if you are on, please comment in the Q&A, just so we know you're here, and you've won our third opportunity basket. Thank you, Carrie.
Great, thank you so much. Fabulous, I'll put that right there. Oh, great. This Giving Tuesday, please consider giving the gift of hope to veterans and active duty service members who confront the physical and mental challenges that remain after their deployment. Your donation supports our mission to help improve the lives of our nation's warriors, one dog at a time. All services to our warriors, including canine therapy, training, and final service dog placement, are completely free to all qualified warriors. At Paws for Purple Hearts, giving is not just about making a donation, it's about saving lives. Please join us by helping raise $17,500 to support one of our many annual canine assisted warrior therapy programs that provide a safe haven for our warriors suffering from the visible and invisible injuries that remain long after they return home from the battlefield. Thank you for joining us today for our very first Paws for Purple Hearts Giving Tuesday Gala. We hope to have you join us again soon. Please visit our website at www.pawsforpurplehearts.org.